All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music, doing it in real time for a few real people, just like you and just like me. So today we lose another classic rock icon, classic pop and rock, and even I would say underground alternative music. Marianne Faithfull, who started out back in the 1960s, was discovered by the Rolling Stones manager at age 16. And then she ended up becoming Mick Jagger's girlfriend. She covered the Rolling Stones' As Tears Go By. She had a big hit with that song. And then she was an actress as well, starring in films including 1968's The Girl on a Motorcycle. And based on the pictures from the 1960s, you can kind of see why Mick Jagger would want this lady as his girlfriend. By the way, she was the inspiration for songs like Wild Horses, You Can't Always Get What You Want, and Sister Morphine, which is interesting because she became a heroin addict in the 70s. But by the time the decade was over, she had released a new album called Broken English, which exposed her to a whole new group of fans, um, many of whom I used to hang out with at the college radio station back in the 80s. Marianne Faithfull was a big deal, and people uh, were into her music and just her and her persona. And there were a lot of people, especially the ladies, who wanted to be a lot like Marianne Faithfull. I guess you could say she didn't have an uneventful life. The statement from her people say, "It is with great sadness that we announce the death of singer, songwriter, and actress Marianne Faithfull. She passed away peacefully in London in the company of her family. She will be dearly missed." Now, what's interesting is she had previously suffered multiple health problems, including bulimia, breast cancer, and emphysema caused by decades of smoking. In 2020, she actually contracted COVID 19 and she was hospitalized for 22 days. Doctors believed at the time that she wouldn't survive, but she pulled through. And then she released her 21st album, She Walks in Beauty. That was a year later. Her story is a remarkable portrait of the rock and roll era. You know what's interesting is that the American Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hasn't put her in from what I know about the Hall of Fame, because I'm pretty sure it would say Hall of Famer Marianne Faithfull. I mean, she checks all the boxes. I mean, she's a lady, number one. That's really big these days because they want to put more women into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Um, she really dabbled heavily in substance abuse, which also seems to be a prerequisite for the Hall of Fame. In many cases, in most cases, it's certainly a resume enhancement. Doesn't hurt if you're the Hall of Fame, because then you look at someone who lived the rock and roll lifestyle and then made it through. But I don't believe that her lifestyle choices made it easy for her to get to age 78. Although, from what I understand, nicotine might be good for what she went through in 2020. Now, I can't say that for sure because then I would be, going against certain people that don't want me to talk about certain things. So I'm just going to move on. Meanwhile, she had an affair with Mick Jagger, which really got her into the tabloids a lot. After they broke up, she fell into drug addiction, at one point living homeless on the streets of Soho. But again, she reemerged in 1976. Her album Dreamin' My Dreams, but then really hit her stride with Broken English, which again was all over college radio in the 1980s. In recent years, she teamed up with songwriters like PJ Harvey and Nick Cave, who each cited her as an inspiration. Other collaborators over the years included David Bowie, Lou Reed, Jarvis Cocker, Damon Albarn, Emmylou Harris, and Metallica. That's very interesting. Faithfull received the World Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2009 Women's World Awards and was made a commander of something in France by the government. It's French, so I'm not going to attempt to read it, but it seems like it was kind of like getting the keys to the city. The singer married and divorced 3 times to artist John Dunbar in 1965. No, she never married Mick Jagger. Ben Brierly of punk band The Vibrators in 1979. And actor Giorgio della Terza in 1988. She is survived by her son, Nicholas Dunbar. So there you have it. Certainly a very interesting life, and someone who embodies the spirit of rock and roll, especially if that's the kind of spirit you're into. I'm less inclined to really endorse or embrace that stuff today, but I'll tell you what, I mean, she checks all the boxes for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and probably would have gotten in on the first ballot, first attempt. So it's kind of odd that they have forgotten about her or they didn't put her in. Again, because she's British, right? Part of the British invasion, kind of. That, for whatever reason, isn't always a plus, although all those British invasion bands got in there without a lot of problem in the early days. But now it seems as though foreigners aren't well received by the Rock Hall because there are many from Canada, a few from Australia. I mean, why not put like In Excess in the Hall of Fame? I mean, come on. Great band. And yes, they were part of my college radio playlist before anybody knew who they were, right alongside the great Marianne Faithfull. So, anyway, folks, just an update. I know today's been a rough day because of what happened in D.C. with the plane crash and all that. And it's been just chaos all day, people talking about that. But another rock icon has left the building, unfortunately. And our thoughts and prayers go out to her family and all her fans, as she was a big deal for quite some time, especially over in Great Britain. So anyway, folks, thanks for watching. God bless, and I will talk to you soon.